My name is Jody, and I just retired from my super important yet super boring corporate job where I explain complex things to the C-suite executives in 5 minutes or less to get them to actually make decisions and do something. I will now take these corporate superpowers and do deep dives into current events and help to answer the obvious questions. And this is my podcast. Hello, fellow truth seekers. Can I just say that sometimes being right so often almost hurts? If you recall, a couple weeks ago, I called Tamra Judge of Real Housewife of Orange County a mean girl, and I said, well, let's roll the tape. I really like Tamra, but she keeps doubling down on this. She is talking all over the place of all the bad things that Shannon has done. And honestly, in most of it, she's probably in the right. But to tell someone they're an alcoholic when you yourself say you have to drink a lot to film doesn't make you the moral police, and it just is over the top and too much. Tamra needs to take a few of her CBD gummies, which, by the way, I take and like, and chill out. But no, she goes in like a pit bull who found a juicy steak, and she's not going to let it go ever. So, now the OG of the OC enters the room, Vicki Gundelson. She is really pissed at Tamra because she broke up the Trace Amigas show. Now, understand I have zero interest to want to go watch their variety show, but it must have made mucho dinero because Vicki is all about the money. So, during the season, the Real Housewives producers brought Vicki in to be somebody to be an ally for Shannon. Most of the cast wasn't against her, but they also did not want Tamra turning her fangs on them. Kind of like what I told you. Stay back. Don't get involved. So anyway, they've been staying quiet. So they had to bring in somebody to shake it up. And one thing Vicki is she's not quiet. And she also wants back on the show desperately. Just ask her because she'll tell you 10,000 times. The other piece is she wanted to do a podcast with Tamra, and Tamra chose Teddy instead. Teddy Mellencamp being the most boring housewife in the history of housewives, and I always love when the guys from Watch What Crappin' say, "Hi, I'm Teddy." That's basically what she is. Anyway, Teddy is the daughter of John Mellencamp, so hashtag Nepo baby. Yep, that's Teddy. Back to our story. Tamra has not spoken to her daughter, Sydney, in years, which is absolutely, as a parent, it makes me feel really bad. Her divorce was so vile that the kids chose sides. There were 3 kids, and 2 are with her, and 1 is with her ex. So she has had little to do with her eldest daughter since her divorce. Again, that's absolutely horrible. So why am I giving you all this? Well, Vicki now has a podcast, and now she is slinging arrows back at Tamra, and I am here for it. Now, these two have known each other a very long time, and they know where all the bodies are buried. Remember that when I said, if you're going to burn a bridge, make sure to burn the bodies. Well, there are no bodies burned on this one, so I'm rubbing my hands in glee. Anyway, let's keep going. And now it's a full-on war. Tamra talking about Vicki's ex-boyfriend Brooks, who pretended to have cancer so Vicki could have people send her a casserole, and Vicki telling the world that Tamra attacks people so no one looks at her life. And by the way, if you didn't watch Real Housewives of Orange County, oh yeah, Brooks actually did pretend to have cancer, which is so disgusting it's not even funny. And Vicki said that she was hoping the symphony would get her a casserole. Great episodes back in the day. You should go back and watch them if you never did. Anyway, I'm also going to say that this is the exact same thing that Erica Jane does on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And it really pisses me off because I heard her on the 2T's podcast with, "Hi, I'm Teddy." And guess what? She was actually so interesting and somebody I would like to meet, but we never meet that Erica Jane on Beverly Hills because what she does instead is she turns into a honey badger just like Tamra and keeps everything away. And why does she do that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because her husband, Tom Girardi, just got put in jail, I guess found guilty of 4 counts of wire fraud for those, widows, orphans, and burn victims he stole like $50 million from. Anyway, back to the OC. So this is a nuance from the original episode about Mean Girls because now it's a mean girl versus mean girl. And this is going down and I am so here for it. And now I need to pull back to the corporate world. This does happen, and just like this case, I'm going to tell you, stay back, make popcorn, because these two are going at it. Now, I wonder if this is all being done to bring Vicki back on the show full time. Well, I think about it because Alexis is just about as exciting as a wet paper bag, and Tamra needs someone to fight with because she is the OC's honey badger, and none of these other women are going to step it up to fight her. So this may be some kind of showmance kind of fight. And speaking of showmances, what side are you on regarding the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing? I almost believe it because their little, and I quote, love story just seems too perfect. And when I see perfection, I don't believe it. I guess we'll find out in a few months. Anyway, back to the OC. The best part is Tamra is post facelift. And here's an aside. I loathe when celebrities get these freebies. How about you pay for your own damn surgery? Instead offer it to someone who can't afford it. I guess this is why I will never be an influencer, despite being someone that people come to all the time asking about, well, what would you recommend? I just find it fake and gross because while I'm a capitalist, I prefer to pay on my own. Okay, rant over. But in punishment, if you're watching this, I am showing you how Tamra looks like a cross between a member of the Munster family, a Cabbage Patch Kid, and the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, she looks horrible. I don't know why she keeps going on camera. I mean, I guess that free facelift, you got to pay for it somehow, but I would not. Anyway, what I hate more about influencers is when they show us gross photos of them and to make them look like they're real. There's nothing real about Tamra anymore. I mean, even the Real Housewives is like, jumped the shark. So, but what is really interesting is Tamra immediately says she's sending this to her attorney. And somewhere Lala is screaming, send it to Daryl. But just like a mean girl, she can dish it out, but she can't take it. I mean, what is your attorney going to say, Tamra? Vicki, stop discussing things that are true but make Tamra mad. Tamra is in a full-fledged snit. And my goodness, am I here for it. I would love to know what crime Vicki did. And maybe Vicki could send her a casserole, too. Who knows? Anyway, mean girls, when they are imploding, are a sight to see. Again, remember when I said, do nothing, let them implode. Yes, folks, we are seeing an epic meltdown of a mean girl being called on her actions and somebody lobbing it back at her. This does not call for popcorn. This calls for one of those like medieval times dinners with the turkey drumsticks and the goblets. And what makes it even better is Tamra responding looking like she does. Did I mention when I'm right, I'm right? And I will never let you forget, don't worry. Yeah, this is the episode. When in your job, you see a mean girl being taken down, say nothing. And by the way, a mean girl is not sex specific. It's just a term, and there are plenty of mean girl men. Speaking of, because I want to be fair, let's go down my corporate memory lane. I worked for a mean girl man. He was so brutal, if you mentioned his name, people would flinch. And he continued his treacherous ways, overworking and abusing his team. Like, you could bring him the sun and he'd be pissed you forgot the moon. That should have come too. One time, one of my employees screwed up a document, so I spent the weekend fixing it up. And he got mad at me for fixing it. I said, well, would you have been happier if I would have let him give you a document that was bad and made you look bad in front of senior leaders? And he said, no, you'd have been in trouble no matter what you did. Yeah, it was a true and complete mean girl, and that's what he was, and I hated working for him. But I was stuck working for him for 3 years because you know what? Every time I would apply for a job, as a courtesy, the new manager would reach out to him, and he would say, oh, I was up for a big promotion. So I had to actually leave the company to get out from underneath him. Anyways, fast forward this 5 years, and one of his victims became his boss, and he slowly began dismantling this guy's empire until he was no longer a manager of managers. Then he wasn't even a manager at all. Oh yeah, he became an individual contributor. And all those people he'd abused now suddenly never responded. Like I told you, karma is a biatch, and corporate karma is a biatch with a sense of humor. So sit back, folks, and watch Tamra and Vicki fight it out gladiator style. And don't forget, I'm always right, and that is the truth.